What's going on, college football fans? Welcome into Got It Covered. It is the absolute best weekend of the year. The first round of the college football playoffs is upon us. Giovanni Heater alongside Raza Umarani with you. We're going to break it all down. We're going to make our predictions for this weekend and the entire college football playoff bracket. Buddy, we've been waiting for this all year. It's finally here, and we got a loaded slate.
I am really just hoping it's better than last year's first round because last
Yeah.
year's first round was like dud fest after dud fest. I think it will be though. I think that the 8, 9, 7, 10 are going to provide some close games. I think you might see these group of 5 teams put up a little bit of a fight. Listen, if you're Tulane and James Madison, for starters, you're obviously playing with house money. But you've had to hear for the last 2 weeks about how nobody wants you here. You don't belong here, all this other stuff. You don't think that's bulletin board material in those locker rooms? Like, I think it's going to be a fascinating weekend. So I think we're going to see some more drama than we saw last year at this time. I think we might see some more upsets than we saw last year at this time. So let's get into it because I might fire off some takes that might shock some people.
All right. I love it. I love it. Let's make this show a little bit different than any of the other ones that people are going to listen to getting ready for this weekend slate. Here's a look at the bracket. If you need to be reminded what's coming up this weekend, it all starts tonight. 9 seed Alabama on the road at 8 seed Oklahoma. 8 p.m. kickoff tonight. Then tomorrow it gets going with probably tied for the best game in the first round. Miami on the road at Texas A&M. It's a noon kick, 11 a.m. local out at Kyle Field. College game day will be at both. You got the Boz. Brian Bosworth is the celebrity guest picker for Alabama, Oklahoma, former Sooner. And then Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, is the celebrity guest picker for College game day at Kyle Field. Feels very fitting. Then, of course, the action rolls on with 11 seed Tulane at 6 seed Ole Miss in Oxford. 3:30 kick tomorrow. And the nightcap, JMU out to Autzen Stadium to play in Eugene against Oregon. 7:30 p.m. kick. I think, Raza, the perfect place to start has to be tonight's Alabama-Oklahoma game, my friend.
Yeah, first game of the playoff, and then you said it might be the best game of the first round. I would admittedly be a little bit more excited if these teams hadn't already played each other this year. Like, the one downside of these first round matchups is that half of them have already happened, with Tulane, Ole Miss, and Alabama, Oklahoma having played each other in the regular season. But that was a very close game between Alabama and Oklahoma. It came down to the wire. It's really the reason why Oklahoma got in the college football playoff. Had they
Yeah.
lost that game, had 3 losses, they would have been out, and Notre Dame would have been in. We wouldn't have had all this drama in the last couple of weeks. It's such a fascinating case study because I feel like this is going to be one of those classic low scoring, very defensive SEC matchups. This is not going to be the type of game where you see like the ball getting thrown around the yard and all this stuff, other stuff. I think this is going to be a ground and pound defensive type of game. Not that the first one wasn't, but you know how like Ty Simpson was a turnover machine in that first game. I don't
Mhm.
think Kalen DeBoer is going to even put Simpson in a position to turn the ball over that much in this game. I think they're going to try and take a load off his shoulders. Similarly, Oklahoma should do that, but like they're able to win games just on the back of their defense. And their offense has to make like 1 or 2 plays a game. That's how
Yep.
they beat LSU. Realistically, they didn't even need their offense to take a snap against Alabama last time they played. Because remember, they had the pick 6 and they had those other turnovers. Like, that's the difference for me here, right? Is
Yep.
not what offense is going to make a play, but like what offense is going to mess up the most. And I don't trust either one of these offenses right now. So it's really, really, really strange. For me, it just comes down to the fact that like I hate to do this because I hate people. I always say I hate it when people do this, and I hate to be the person to do it myself because it makes me totally hypocritical. But like, is Alabama the type of team to lose twice to? And Oklahoma's a great team, but are they the type of team to lose twice to the same opponent in the same year? Like, granted, that first loss was at home. Now you got to go on the road. There's a reason this spread is just going back and forth. It's pretty much a pick 'em at this point. But like, I think Bama's offense just has like the ability to make a play to win a game
Yep.
that we've not really seen out of Oklahoma's offense in the last like what 2 months. Not that
Right.
Bama's has been really good, but like at least we saw them make plays against Auburn. At least we saw them make plays against LSU. I know Oklahoma had that long touchdown to beat LSU in the last week of the season, but I trust Bama a little bit more on both sides of the ball. Love Oklahoma's defense at home, but I just think it's Bama's offense who makes a play late and finds a way to win this game. So I'm going to go with Alabama to pull off, I guess, an upset because I know they're an underdog now, but let's be real. It's not an upset if Alabama wins this game. I don't think it's an upset either way, to be completely
Yeah.
honest with you. So, but I
Yeah.
like Bama to win it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the spread. I don't think it's an upset either way because Oklahoma's only favored by 1.5 at home on home turf at Norman. So I'm going Alabama as well. I'm surprised we agreed on that. I thought that I was going to get Oklahoma out of you, but I'm going Alabama as well. I like your point about trusting Alabama's offense. It was all a defensive effort for Oklahoma to beat Alabama the first time. Now, I will say, Brent Venables kind of has had Alabama's upper hand a
That's
little
true.
bit here. He really
That's
has.
true.
And you look at the last couple of matchups and you could point to it, okay, fluky type stuff, right? Like getting these really efficient third down stops and getting that defense off the field, and fluky stuff like the turnover margin be so starkly contrasted in Oklahoma's favor. But when it happens time after time, is that a fluke? Because I
No, that's
think it's
just a
becoming a
trend.
trend and not a
Mhm.
fluke. And that's more of a tip of the cap to Brent Venables. That being said, I think Alabama's offense is so talented. And when the puzzle pieces have been put together this year, it's looked unbelievable. I mean, there were times that we said Ty Simpson looked like an NFL prototype. He was a robot. He was surgical. He was an assassin out there, right? And all of a sudden, the wheels kind of fell off the last month of the season. But let's not forget that John Mateer hasn't looked the same since he broke his
No,
hand, which was earlier in
no.
the year. We were talking about him as a Heisman contender. And to that, I'd say, listen, I understand that he's playing banged up and he hasn't been the same player, but his decision making has been what's bad. His decision making is throwing these interceptions and turning the ball over. It's not a broken hand that's throwing these interceptions. It's his
Mm-mm.
decision making. So I like Ty Simpson to be the better quarterback in this game. I really do. And I understand they've both had a strugglesome month. I think the large sample size, though, shows we've seen a lot more positives from Ty Simpson than we have from John Mateer. John Mateer did miss time. I do think they both have good defenses. Oklahoma has the better defense in this game. They get them at home, which is going to be a huge advantage. This is a fan base that is salivating for an opportunity like this. Since the Sunday morning that Lincoln Riley left for USC, the Oklahoma fan base has been starving for this, playing in the college
Mhm.
football playoff, getting an opportunity at relevance again. So the place is going to be a zoo. I just like Alabama. I laid a kind of a crazy thought about, I didn't do it, but I thought about laying kind of a crazy, like, what if Bama goes out there and what if you want to mess around with an alt spread and lay it at 6.5? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. I think it'll be very close. And like because I don't think anybody blows anybody out here.
well,
I
but
think
is a touchdown game a blowout? That's not a blowout.
it's not a blowout, but it's more separation than I think these two teams have. Because if anything, Oklahoma's the no, it's last year, but Oklahoma's the one who blew out Alabama last year.
Yeah, they
And
did.
again, they went on the road and beat
Was it
them this
Venables
year.
has the
So
upper hand?
yeah, Venables is 2-0 against Alabama
Mhm.
since they moved to the SEC, which is crazy. And we obviously know their battles against one another when he was at Clemson. So it's it's not impossible, no. But like, do I trust Alabama to beat anybody by 6.5 points these days? No. And the last time we
No.
saw them, they had -3 rushing yards against Georgia. Now they're playing another very stout defensive front. Like, I'm only taking Alabama realistically because they're Alabama. But like on paper, Oklahoma is the better football team that should win this ball game. But then you laid out, Alabama's got the better quarterback. Kind of
Probably the
like
better weapons.
I was just about to say, I like Alabama's receivers better on paper, but like I
Ryan
feel like
Williams can't catch the football.
Ryan Williams has been, I guess if the Madden cover curse existed for college football, he's got it. That didn't affect Jeremiah Smith, but maybe I guess it's just one or the other. But like, um, Is there a receiver on Bama that you would take like over Satania for Oklahoma? I probably wouldn't. So at least not with the way that they're performing this year. Because like when you need a play, if you're Ty Simpson, if you need a play, who are you throwing the ball to? I don't know. You know, like is there any one guy you can go to? It's like
Probably,
they're going to make the
I
play.
think Jeremy Bernard's been awesome.
That's true. And Horton was that guy against Auburn in the Iron Bowl. But like
Right.
when Oklahoma needs a play, they dial it up to Satania and it works. So like I think Oklahoma's a better team, but I'm picking Alabama to win the game because they have the better quarterback, even though he's not been very good lately. It's just so strange. It's such a weird matchup.
Last nugget on this, and then we can move on to another game. I also think there's a whole nother edge coming from Kalen DeBoer that we're not ready for. I think he is actually quietly one of the more competitive coaches in college football, but he shows it in a different way. You don't think all this dialogue about DeBoer to Michigan and whatnot is firing that guy up? Because you don't want to. First of all, I would like to put to bed. I don't think there's a chance, unless fired, that Kalen DeBoer leaves Alabama for Michigan. And here's the reason why. He doesn't want to be remembered as the guy that couldn't do it and used the fire escape out the back door to go to Michigan. And all anyone will ever talk about with Kalen DeBoer is he couldn't follow up Nick Saban at Alabama, and he used the fire escape, right? I just think he's gonna come out with an edge. Like what more of a statement can be made than if Alabama like is playing in the college football playoff semifinal? I'm not even saying if they win the national championship, that's a whole different ballgame. But like, what more statement can you make that you're the right guy than if you like lead them through 2 wins and you're playing for a college football playoff semifinal?
Yeah, the problem with following up Nick Saban is the expectation is not to go to the semifinal, is to win the damn thing.
Well,
but they've already considered this season a failure because they lost 2 games and lost the SEC championship game.
Even Kirby's not doing that right now. Like, it's a different era, man. You can't stockpile the same as you used to be able to. Shoot, if Ohio State wins back-to-back, cheers, because I don't think you're going to see a lot of back-to-back or dynasties any longer.
I mean, it's increasingly harder to do it when 12 teams make it. I mean, like, dude, Oklahoma's chasing their first playoff win ever. Think about all the times that they've gone to the college football playoff. Yeah. They've never won a playoff game.
Dude, that Baker game, oh my God, the Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl, yeah, it was
against Georgia. Sony Michel sends the dogs to the national championship.
That was probably the best game of the 14 playoff era.
Bonkers game. I love that.
Either that or the Georgia Ohio State semifinal. The New Year's kick being missed as the clock struck midnight. That was nasty too.
That was a banger. Oh, I love the college football playoff, man. I really do. I really do. I'm all for it. I'm all for more meaningful football. All right, we're both taking Alabama in this one. Let's go to the noon kick out at Kyle Field, 11 a.m. local. The Fighting Aggies, Texas A&M, hosting the University of Miami. Oh, man, what a showdown. I mean, if you are an NFL draft fan, if you are a scout, you're salivating at this game. And dude, I think it all comes down to matchups. Like, literally position by position matchups are the story in this game between Miami and Texas A&M. I'm excited, man. This, obviously, with my new job, I'm stoked. But if you're just a college football fan, this is an awesome, awesome game in the first round, because you wouldn't have been shocked if the bracket played out differently. You wouldn't have been shocked if this was a semifinal matchup.
That's right. Because of the immense amount of talent on both sides of the ball, the immense amount of star power for both teams. I mean, Carson Beck, Marcel Reed both had their hat in the ring for the Heisman this year. You know, CJ Daniels and Malachi Tony against KC Concepcion and
Mario
Craver.
Ashton Bethel Roman.
Ruben Bain and Cassius Howell are arguably the 2 best defensive ends in the country. You know, could be 2, for lack of a better term, lottery picks, in April's NFL draft, like 2 big time head coaches, used to duke it out in the ACC. 2 coaches that have played against each other actually for quite a long time in their careers. Like, and then the star power of the brands, right? You had Big Bad Miami from, South Beach playing the people who do the midnight yell at the frickin', Kyle Field or whatever. It's such an interesting juxtaposition of programs. So this is the matchup. I mean, obviously it goes without saying for you, but this is the matchup I am looking most forward to
Mhm.
Also with a bit of a keen eye because the winner does play Ohio State in the second round. So,
Indeed. Indeed.
um, so I am very fascinated to watch this. I do wish it was a primetime game. We laid out in our last episode why maybe they chose to put it at
Sure.
noon. I'm no expert, but listen, they could have played it at 9 a.m. on Mars, and I'd still be tapped in with a bucket
Yeah.
of pop. So I'm gonna ask you.
Yeah.
You're now our resident Texag, right? So what are you looking for in this game?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to who can stop the run because both teams can run the football.
Yeah.
Miami's had a really good rushing defense this year at times. Texas A&M, it's kind of been one of their Achilles heels, you could say. I'm looking at the defensive lines as well. I mean, you laid it out personnel wise. You got Akeem Mesdor and Ruben Bain on one side for Miami. You got Cassius Howell, the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, and a unanimous All-American on the other side for Texas A&M. Who can make the other quarterback uncomfortable in this game? I also think it simply comes down to the quarterback play. They both have a plentiful supply of weapons, right? Running back room, you got Mark Fletcher for Miami. On the other side, it looks like they're going to get Le'Veon Moss back. Even if they don't get Le'Veon Moss back, they've been without him for quite some time, and they've done just fine. It's a complete running back stable for Texas A&M. I mean, you go beyond Le'Veon Moss with the guys in that room, they're going to be okay. You like what you see there. Even as deep as like EJ Smith, who's Emmett Smith's son, which is pretty cool. And
I
he's
didn't
like
know that.
the fourth tailback on the depth chart, and he's scoring touchdowns for him. Like, you feel really good about that stable. The pass catchers are unbelievable. You feel good about what you have there on both sides of the ball. Casey Concepcion, maybe he's an X factor that makes a huge play. Like, the reason he's been a consensus All-American and won the award for the biggest like utility guy in college football is because not only is he an elite receiver, but he's a crib call machine in the punt return game for him.
Mhm.
Maybe he can be an X factor, but I say all this to say it's going to come down to the quarterbacks. Carson Beck is no stranger to playing in a 100,000 seat stadium in a big game, right? He saw it all when he was at Georgia. Hasn't really seen it at Miami, but he saw it all when he was at Georgia. That being said, he has not really lived up to those moments in his career. Saw a crazy stat. I don't know the exact numbers. I don't even know the extent of the truth to it, but something along the lines of his touchdown to interception ratio. I believe he's thrown more interceptions against top 10 teams than touchdowns in his career. You're going to have to fact check me on that. I don't know if that's 100% true. I tried to find it again before the show and I could not find it again. But Carson Beck is kind of like Miami, known for evaporating in these moments, right? And is nowhere to be found when you need a guy to make a play.
Yeah.
Marcel Reed, this is your moment to prove it, right? He's only a sophomore for Texas A&M, made a really big play to beat Notre Dame on the road in South Bend, had an unbelievable second half against LSU in Death Valley, right? He's had some moments, but didn't have his best stuff against Texas. Dug him a hole early against South Carolina. Remember, those are the last two games that this Texas A&M team played. You had to have this triumphant second half comeback where he still throws for over 400 yards and like 5 touchdowns in the game, but you had to have this triumphant second half comeback to beat Shane Beamer in South Carolina. And then you lose in Austin and cough up the undefeated season in a spot in the SEC championship in the Lone Star Showdown against Texas to end out the regular season. So I think it comes down to what quarterback is going to show up in the big moment. The nice thing if you're Marcel Reed, you're doing it in the spot that you've played all your home games all along. And for Carson Beck, it will be deafening. If there's a big third down or whatever, when that Miami offense is on the field, I don't know if there's a more hostile place to play in college football. It's certainly up there with the best of them, for sure.
They're number one stadium pulse in CFB 26.
Exactly. For good reason. There's
For
108
very good reason.
There's 108,000 seats in the stadium, and I was reading on Twitter, it's more like 110 to 111 because of all the standing room and the like. They're literally packing them in. If you want to go to this game, they're making sure that you get into this game tomorrow. So
Yeah, and they're all insane.
they're
So there's that too.
different. I saw it firsthand. They're a little different.
Would you here's the thing.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Carson Beck, who's like, you're right, kind of disappeared in big spots, versus Marcel Reed, who hasn't really been in any? Like that's the interesting
Yeah.
kind of compare and contrast here. Like, not that Marcel Reed's not played in any big games. Obviously, he has. They played Texas, they played Notre Dame, all these big games in the SEC. But like, if Texas A&M was playing in this game after, well, I guess they wouldn't be, but like if he had faced Alabama in the SEC championship game and had 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and they won, I'd be like, yeah, Marcel Reed's clearly got it. But this is a more favorable set of circumstances for him being at home and yes, facing a really good team and a really good defense, but like not exactly Georgia. You know what I'm saying? So I I'm very curious about it. And man, what you brought up has been living rent free in my head ever since their logo showed up instead of Notre Dame's. It's like, dude, they just collapse.
They
Every
do.
year they find a way to collapse. They
And that's a
find a way to
Cristobal
blow
thing.
it. Yes, it could be in the college football playoff, or it could be in week 5 against NC State. Like you just it's always
Friday
been
night against Louisville in week 6.
exactly. Or last year championship on the line, you blow a 21-point lead against Syracuse. Like it could be anything with
Yeah.
this program, with this coach, with this quarterback. Is like, man, this is the first time they ever made the college football playoff. Is this what does it look like? Because
I,
we never saw them in a 14 field. We didn't see them in last year's 12-team field. So I'm really curious as to what it's going to look like, especially when you have to go on the road to such a difficult place to play. But my opinion is this. I think Miami was playing not its best ball, but some of its best ball going into this college football playoff. I think
I
Texas
agree.
A&M might have peaked a little early. I feel like they've plateaued a little bit, if not have come down a little bit. You said it right there. In 6 of their last 8 quarters, they're being outscored by like 40 points against South Carolina and Texas. Now, granted, Texas is a good team, but like South Carolina, and that game was at home. So
I think the
that
good
was a
thing is
noon kick.
though, you haven't I think almost for A&M, it's a good thing they didn't play in the SEC championship game. You can really get your feet back under you. It's like a full-blown reset. But I
Yeah,
hear
but
you.
what if they had won? You know what I'm saying? Like, then they would
Sure.
have been undefeated. They would have been 13-0. They would have
But
been the
if they
number
but if
2
but if
team
they
in the
played in the
country.
SEC championship, they would have never lost to Texas, and we're not talking about how they plateaued at the end of the year.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean? Like,
That's
because
true.
of the circumstances, I almost think the reset is better.
That's true. Um, but I think Miami's playing some good ball. I think Beck's been playing much better than when they lost to Louisville and SMU earlier in the year. I think that their defensive talent's obviously fantastic. I love what Malachi Tony has to offer, and I'm gonna say I think there's a reason why the sharp money is on Miami because I do think Miami goes to Texas A&M and wins this football game. I
Wow.
think it's close. And for me, it doesn't come down to like quarterbacks, like I said with Oklahoma, Alabama. Like, I just think Miami's playing better ball right now. I think they're playing a little bit with house money, right? Where they're like, yeah, we weren't even really supposed to be here. Like, people are like, oh, maybe Notre Dame should have gotten and all this other stuff. Texas A&M kind of reeling a little bit. I do think it's good, like you said, they had what now 3 weeks off at this point,
Mhm.
but I think I mean I hate to do this to you, but I think
You
Miami wins the game. And I've said that actually since the bracket was unveiled.
you're not alone. A lot of people feel that way. I'm a little surprised a lot of people feel that way because it's like I feel like all of a sudden because they're in the playoff, people are forgetting who Miami's been um,
Right. And
under
that's
Mario
really
Cristobal,
important.
which is like I don't understand that. And they're being asked to go on the road, and I mean they haven't played in front of this many people at all.
No, they're not
Here,
playing this crowd in Dallas Fort Worth. That's for
here's
sure.
another here's another point I think about the quarterback matchup in this style of play wise. Both teams are going to get after the quarterback with their defensive line. They're going to generate pressure. Marcel Reed's escapability is
Mm,
pretty unmatched. I think he's going to be disrupted. Don't get me wrong, but his ability to extend a play, to avoid sacks, is definitely a strength of his compared to Carson Beck. I feel like when Beck gets pressured, he throws picks. When Marcel Reed gets pressured, not that he doesn't throw his fair share of interceptions, particularly the tail end of the season, but he's got an ability about him to extend plays to get away from Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain, right? And like Beck's a statue pocket passer, and I think that's going to make a little bit of a difference in this game. I'm going Texas A&M. They're at home. This is such a big culture moment for Mike Elko. Now, regardless, I think Mike Elko's the right guy. I think if it's not this year, like they're going to be in this conversation again.
Yeah, plenty of times.
But like kind of like Oklahoma on a whole different scale, like A&M getting to this point is almost like a school like Virginia Tech getting to this point. You know what I mean? Like
they've been dying for it.
A&M's never played in the college football playoff. Even when Johnny Manziel was there, they never reached this kind of a height.
They haven't played in a New Year's Six Bowl since what, 2020? Like
right.
When they beat North Carolina in the Orange
in a
Bowl?
shortened season. This is a different level of success. And I mean, this is a moment kind of like Oklahoma's been salivating for a moment like this. A&M on a whole different scale, I think, because Oklahoma's played in these games. They were a part of the 14 playoff multiple times, right? And I know that it's been a minute since Lincoln Riley departed, but like this is a little different. So you could say the same about Miami. You really could say the same about Miami.
True.
So it's a very fascinating matchup. I'm going A&M because they're at home, and I've yet to see Mario Cristobal and the Miami Hurricanes deliver in a big moment and go win a big game, especially on the road. So I'm not going to take them to do it. But it's going to be awesome.
That's very valid. Either way, when I look at number 7 Texas A&M against number 10 Miami, I'm like, this feels like I'm looking at a March Madness bracket. Doesn't it feel like this would be a first round NCAA tournament game? The one that's at 12:15 on the first Thursday when you're taking off school or work or whatever.
7-10 matchup. Yeah.
Yep, and it busts your bracket on the first game because you're like, oh, Miami's got the good guard play, but Texas A&M like beats them by 30.
And you're praying the 15 seed upsets the 2. I've seen Syracuse play in way too many games as the 10 seed growing up, bro.
Yes. I don't need to explain this to you.
Bro, it happened when they went to the Final Four in 2016 because Middle Tennessee upset Michigan State.
That's
and Syracuse played Middle Tennessee. Good times. Good times. Unfortunately, Ohio State is waiting for whoever wins this game.
Yes.
But I will say, would be awesome for A&M to play
a Cotton Bowl
in Arlington at the Cotton Bowl.
I still think there would be more Ohio State fans there.
There's going to be a ton of Buckeyes there, but it's still going to be an awesome story. There's going to be a ton of Aggies there too, so it would be sick. So I'll take them to do it. I'll take them to stay home and play in the Cotton Bowl. Moving on, continuing to peek at the bracket. Next game up, 3:30 kick on Saturday. Tulane at Ole Miss. So much swirling around the Ole Miss program. Lane Kiffin's gone. A lot of the offensive staff is gone. They promote the defensive coordinator to be the head coach. Obviously, the biggest situation you can be in your first game as a head coach. This is pretty unprecedented stuff here. Does Tulane have any kind of a chance in this game? Las Vegas would say no. Ole Miss 17.5-point favorites. Tell you what, I'm taking Tulane to cover. I'm going to take Ole Miss to win the game, but I'm taking Tulane to cover that spread. I think Tulane's a good team. Now, you could also make the same argument about JMU and Tulane, that both coaches are on their way out, like multitasking and recruiting for their new school while trying to finish things up and put a bow on this thing at their old stops. So it's tough. It's tough. But I'm taking Tulane to cover. I really think that there's a lot of weird stuff going on in Oxford. You heard what Trinidad Chambliss was saying, his comments earlier this week, where he's like, yeah, we're just going to have to evaluate and see when the offseason comes and like see where I'm going to end up. Like, if you're an Ole Miss fan, that's not convincing or convictive in any way, shape, or form. That's not like oh, that's our guy kind of a statement. It's weird, sir. It's unfortunate because Ole Miss is an unbelievable football team that I think had an outside shot to make a run at a national championship. And I don't think that's the case. I think they're going to get through the first round, but I'm going to take Tulane to cover in this one.
This one's so weird, man, because Ole Miss crushed them earlier in the year. And that was Chambliss's first start, if I recall. And Jake Retzloff played like garbage, and Ole Miss beat them by 35 or whatever it was. And that seems like it should be the indelible image when trying to predict what's going to happen here. But it's so impossible to predict what's going to happen with no, because it's not the same Ole Miss team. I guess it's the same team, but like I think it's hard to imagine it's not going to look extremely different with no Lane Kiffin and that offensive staff being gutted and everything else. And like, I guess the offensive staff gets to stay and coach, but Lane's not there. And like, it's been so wonky. It's been a tumultuous month or so for the Ole Miss program and for the Ole Miss athletic department. I don't think that should deter them from winning this game. And I can't get out of my head how awful Tulane played against them in that first matchup. Like, I feel like Ole Miss should win this game going away and cover the 17-point spread. But then part of me is like, well, does Tulane keep it close? Are they going to get crushed twice? Are they going to win? Like, I don't know. No, I think Tulane winning this game would be crazy. Because
Really stir things up a little bit.
Oh, it would. To go on the road and win a game in this spot against that caliber of opponent, I think is not going to happen. So, like, I think Ole Miss's coaching staff being shorthanded is not a problem for a game like this. This is like when Jim Harbaugh is suspended for the first 3 games of a season, and Sharon Moore goes and beats Central Michigan. Like, not that Tulane is Central Michigan, and not that Sharon Moore is coaching the Michigan Wolverines anymore, but you get the point. Like, this is not the game that Ole Miss is going to be feeling the departure of Lane Kiffin. I think that'll be the next game against Georgia. And I think Vegas shows that because they still respect Ole Miss greatly, even without Lane Kiffin. Like, they'd only be like a 4.5 point underdog to Georgia on a neutral site. So this was the upset pick I was flirting with, but I'm not going to do it because I think it's way too far-fetched. So I think Ole Miss wins this game. I don't know about the spread. I would not touch it with a 10-foot pole, but I think Ole Miss has no excuse to not win this game.
I agree. I think it's going to be a little closer, though. A little closer than comfort. I'm going to take Tulane to cover. I might bet that if I was a betting man. I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would probably bet that. So
that's our betting advice. A little sprinkle.
It would be fun. How about this one? 7:30 kick, capping off the first round. JMU at Autzen. Do they have any shout of a shot? 21.5 point underdogs, might I add.
Can the admin of that JMU fan page on Twitter
hilarious
play quarterback?
They're brilliant though. They're hilarious.
Their account of the year. The nicest thing I can say about JMU in this game is that their running back has one of the coolest names I've ever seen in my life. His name is Wayne Knight, and I learned that watching their Sun Belt Championship game against Troy.
That's right.
And I'm like, either that's a hell of a coincidence or his parents really like Batman, because Wayne Knight is an awesome name.
It is.
But
he's featured in our thumbnail in the bottom
left
corner. Right there. Bottom left corner. There he is, next to John Mateer.
But Wayne Knight's gonna be facing an NFL defensive front for the first time in his career, I would say. So, yeah, this one doesn't need the explanation that I think I gave for Tulane. I think this is just a blowout. I would love James Madison keeping this game close. I think that'd be hilarious. But like, Oregon is not going to lose this game. I mean, they remember what happened last year, albeit against Ohio State, who wound up winning the national championship. They're like, we're at home. We want to win a playoff game. This would be Oregon's first playoff victory since 2014. That's crazy if you think about it. So
it is, but we've only had 1 year of the 12-teamer.
But still, Oregon's been in the zeitgeist for a while. You know? So it's not like they had Justin Herbert, they had Bo Nix. It's not like they just fell off the face of the earth. So this would be their first playoff victory since the inception of the college football playoff, and they're going to get it. JMU is a fun story, but I think that Dante Moore and that running game and that defense should dominate and probably blow JMU out of the water. This is probably the largest delta in terms of a scoring differential of the first round.
This is why we should not have 2 group of fives in the playoff. You're telling me that if Notre Dame didn't play in this thing, it wouldn't be a banger, or Texas, or insert pretty much anybody else, but I digress. It's the ACC's fault.
BYU.
Blame my stupid conference.
That's true. We
Um,
messed up.
I mean, even Virginia might have been more entertaining, although they might have gotten beaten just as bad as James Madison.
They probably would have.
But I digress.
At least we have some common. I know it means less to you. I know you went to college in the Commonwealth. I'm born and raised in the Commonwealth. Having some Virginia representation that's
nice.
not UVA in the college football playoff, I can get behind. So
I'm all for the Dukes.
There's nice campus. They just built a Buc-ee's a few miles down the road. You know, they got a good thing going in Harrisonburg.
Unfortunately, he might not actually come back east afterwards. He might go right down to Southern California. On his own jet.
Exactly. Just stay in the Pacific time zone.
So yeah. Let's go through quickly the rest of the bracket and our thoughts here, and really we can give a couple of thoughts on the top 4 seeds. So let's go. We both have Oregon advancing to play Texas Tech. What do you like in that game briefly? Oregon and Texas Tech. I feel like Texas Tech is the least talked about team in this entire field of 12, which is crazy.
Which is crazy because of how well they've been playing all year, with the exception of the one aberration on their schedule.
Yep.
I think, yes, it's kind of hard to judge how a team is beating up on other teams when the caliber of their schedule isn't as crazy as, you know, some of the other big dogs. Like Oregon has played a tougher schedule because they did play like Indiana. But what was like the second hardest game on Oregon's schedule? USC,
right?
Iowa. You know, like it wasn't the hardest schedule for Oregon. So I think Texas Tech's really good. And on a neutral site, I would actually pick Texas Tech to win that game. I think they're just playing with some real fire this year. I like Oregon quite a lot. Obviously, they've got an NFL quarterback. They've got NFL players all over the place, and they've got that level of talent. And I think sometimes to beat an Oregon level type of team, you kind of have to be what Ohio State was last year, which is an NFL factory yourself. But I think this Texas Tech team is, for starters, going to put some NFL players out on the field. But like this, in my opinion, is going to look like that Arizona State Texas game from last year if Arizona State got the job done. You know, the scrappy team that's playing good ball and maybe no one's talking about them as much as the 4 seed, even though different format. I think they would get the job done against Oregon.
You think so? See, I agree. I think Texas Tech, I don't know. I don't look at it the same. I think Arizona State had a whole different underdog feel, and Texas Tech does not have that underdog feel. I don't think.
I mean, both teams went, you know, ham in the portal and then wound up winning them a conference championship in the Big 12. It's just like,
but we always looked at Arizona State last year as like, oh, look where they are. Texas Tech's
right. They were scrappier, right? Like Texas Tech, you can point to the oil money essentially. So it is a little different in that regard.
Texas Tech has blown teams out this year. Look what they did to BYU twice.
That's true.
You know,
so if I like it, I again, and I think Vegas would respect them. I'd probably make that like Oregon -3.5, Oregon -4 on a neutral site, but I would take Texas Tech. I just like I think that the other thing is Oregon always finds a way to lose these games too.
They do. No, I think that's Dan Lanning's moment. I'm going to take Oregon in that one.
But would that be Dan Lanning's moment? Oh, we won a quarterfinal game against the Big 12 team. Like he's going to have to like go to a national.
But he's going to have a playoff semifinal appearance, and maybe I'm picking him to win the whole dang thing. I'm not, but I'm going to take him to win that game. So you say Texas Tech, I say Oregon. How about we both have Alabama advancing to play Indiana? This is where I think it comes to an end for Alabama. I like Indiana.
Yeah.
I think Indiana's awesome. And they're so well coached. It's unbelievable. I'm taking Indiana. Okay, we both agree.
I'm not picking Indiana to lose a Rose Bowl after watching the 60 Minutes feature on Signet.
No, dude, wasn't that unbelievable?
Yeah.
It was awesome. Dope. It was awesome. It's crazy how – did you hear about when he got there, how much he hated it right off the bat because of how accustomed to losing they were and everything,
Yes.
and just how they doubted him from the get-go, like, "You can't get
Yes.
it done here." And he was
Mhm.
like, "We're like," he changed the culture.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It's
He
GOAT
might,
behavior.
yeah, seriously.
It is.
This is gonna go down. If they win the national championship, it would be probably be the greatest story in the history of college football.
I 100%.
Like, I don't know what, it doesn't compare to anything. It's in its own
Literally
league.
nothing. Well, from a
I'm
season-long perspective, this isn't App State beating Michigan. This is like a
no,
season-long
no.
16-0 national champ.
Yeah. I'm taking Indiana in that one. We both took Ole Miss to play Georgia. Not going to be as close as the first game. With Lane Kiffin, dude, I'm giving Ole Miss a shot to win this thing. And I just think Georgia's playing unbelievable ball. They're probably playing better than anybody else in the country right now, maybe. We said that coming into this thing, that it wouldn't be shocked if they won the national championship. They were probably my favorite coming into it. I'm taking Georgia to beat Ole Miss for a second time, which is unfortunate because Lane Kiffin and everything, I think that game would have looked a lot different, but it's not.
It would have. It would have, but it ain't. So
You're
I'll
taking
take
the
I'll take the
dogs.
dogs.
All
The
right, we're both
dogs.
taking the dogs. I took Texas A&M. You took Miami. Either one
But
of
we're
them
both taking Ohio State.
Are we?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see Ohio State losing to either of these teams. I saw that they would be a 7-point favorite against Texas A&M and a 10-point favorite against Miami.
Yeah.
Coming off that loss in the Big Ten championship game, I don't know, man. I think they're going to come out with a bit of an extra edge. The players have said they've felt slighted because Jeremiah Smith didn't get the Biletnikoff, Julian Sand didn't get the Heisman, whatever. I'm like, well, you were never winning the Heisman, bro. Like, with all due respect, maybe
Yeah,
if they had
what?
beaten Indiana in the championship game, Jeremiah Smith should have won the Biletnikoff. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I just think that they come out with a bit of an extra edge. Are they going to win the whole thing? I don't know, but I don't think they're a one and done. Not with the ridiculous amount of talent they have. We talked about how talented Miami and Texas A&M are. Multiply that by 2, and you get Ohio State. So
Yeah.
I'll take the Buckeyes to win the Cotton Bowl. They also don't lose in that building. The
No.
Missouri game doesn't count from a few years ago. Nobody played in that game. That one doesn't.
Very
count.
true. I'll take just for fun. Like, literally, this is fun. Vibes play. I'm wearing the shirt. I'll take a cheeky upset because they're playing in their home state. The magic of Mike Elko just continues. I mean, unbelievable, unprecedented season in College Station. The magic continues for one more week. They pull off this unbelievable upset over Ohio State. I mean, it is an unbelievable upset, but these were 2 top 3 teams for the majority of the back half of the season. So
yeah, this could have been a natty in a different world.
Right. I actually like the way they match up against Ohio State style play wise, probably better than Miami. So I'll take Texas A&M in a wild upset a little bit there. All right. So you got Texas Tech and Indiana. I have Oregon and Indiana in a rematch of that game out in Eugene. Who you got in your semifinal, Texas Tech and Indiana?
Yeah, whether it's Oregon or whether it's Indiana, I do like Indiana to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's we say it's hard to beat a team twice. God, Oregon would really, really give Indiana a fight. But yeah, I think Indiana is just, I mean, it's crazy,
it's
but
destiny. It's destiny.
It is. It really
I'm taking Indiana to beat Oregon a second time. It just has a destiny feel to it. Oregon will give them a fight, but Indiana, that game wasn't as close as it was close until it wasn't. Indiana.
It was the Mendoza pick 6 that was just the reason why it was close at all. Oregon's offense did nothing in that game.
Right. That's the underrated part about Indiana, dude. Their defense is so good. You saw it against Ohio State. I don't want to say they outplayed Ohio State, but they held Ohio State to less points than Ohio State held Indiana to. I know it was 3 points and it was a defensive shootout, but
I mean, Ohio State had 2 1-yard conversions scenarios in the red zone and didn't convert either one of them into first downs, let alone points. And that's the difference in the game.
Right.
And to kind of go back in the story, that's what has to happen for a team to beat this iteration of Ohio State. So that's why I just don't think Miami or Texas A&M is capable of doing it. But a team like Indiana, or as you might see, Georgia is capable of doing that.
All right, there we go. So we're both taking Indiana. You got them playing Texas Tech. Yeah, which is, it's something. How about this? Let's see what we got. Georgia, and I got Texas A&M. You got Ohio State. Who you got?
I mean,
Georgia, Ohio State, what a banger that would be. Georgia A&M would be sick too because that's the SEC championship we never got.
that's true. Although if A&M had beaten Texas, would it have been A&M and wouldn't it would have been A&M and Bama, right? Because Bama
No.
beat Georgia.
Oh yeah, it would have been. Would it? I guess it would have been A&M.
Yeah, Bama was the home team in the
Regardless, you get scenarios you could have gotten. Like Ole Miss,
yeah.
Georgia could have happened. A&M, Georgia could have happened. It's
Mhm.
the top four clumped
Yes.
in. You know.
Yeah. Georgia, Ohio State for me is God, I hate to just discard Indiana, but it feels like it's a national championship type of game.
If it has that feel to
Obviously,
it, but that
it
happens in the
does.
semifinals from time to time.
It does. I feel like you and I have said this multiple times. These are the two top programs in college football currently. So anytime that these guys play each
Yeah.
other, you gotta tap in. Like it's must see TV. You know, I said earlier in the show what their first playoff matchup looked like 3 years ago, even though that one hurt quite a bit. Gosh, it's hard to pick against Ohio State against anybody. I think the team with the best chance to beat them in the field is Georgia. And so I think actually Georgia would win this football game. Like I
Wow.
think it for me, like it's so hard to pick Kirby to lose to a team when he's never lost to them. I know it's just one game, but like it's so hard, to it's so hard to beat Georgia. It's so hard to like to be the best, you got to beat
Yep.
the best. And I think Ohio State is still the best team in the country, but I hate this matchup for them. And when they lost to Indiana, I was like, this is what sucks is that they're going to have to play Georgia in the semifinal instead of like an Oregon or a Texas Tech. If Ohio State had beaten Indiana, they would have easily been my pick to win the national championship. And honestly, I still think they're the best team in the country, and I would still like to pick them to win the national championship. But the fact that they got to go through Georgia when they've had to play a team like Indiana, which beats you up front, beats you up physically, is like, man, I just hate that matchup for Ohio State. I think Georgia has had it a little easier, and what they just did to Alabama is terrifying. So I'm going to take Georgia to beat Ohio State, get to a national championship, and play Indiana. Could you imagine your Georgia, your last two national championship games have been against Indiana and Texas Christian?
That's something. That's a good
You,
point.
I mean, goodness.
Who would have? Yeah, that's not on anybody's bingo card.
No,
That's
never.
insane. That's insane. I'm taking Georgia too. I have them beating Texas A&M. You have them beating Ohio State.
Do you think they would beat Ohio State? Like if it is Georgia, because I think there's a better chance than not it's Georgia, Ohio State. So like if that's the matchup, what would you also take Georgia?
I do. It comes down to the coaching matchup. I understand Ryan Day got it done last year, but I think Kirby Smart is the best coach in college football. Kurt Signetti could dethrone that. There's just more proven success year after year sustained with Kirby Smart. I mean, he's like the closest thing to Nick Saban that we have in the game right now.
100%.
So yeah, I think Georgia would win the football game. They haven't, again, in SEC play, everybody had a chance to cut the head off the snake and nobody could kill him. They're like Michael Myers this year. They're like the Chiefs.
They keep
to your
coming back.
point, they're like the Chiefs. They just keep coming back. You can't kill them. You can't kill them. So, and matchup wise, yeah, I just like Georgia to win the game. I think Ohio State's probably better at almost every position, and Georgia still wins the game, which is crazy. I think they have the better quarterback. They have the better receiver room.
Georgia probably is better.
Georgia's got the better running back. I like Georgia's running back room.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're comparing apples to, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Different brands of apples here. You know, Georgia's got the Granny Smith and Ohio State's got the I don't even know.
By the way, this game, if/when they play each other, is finishing 10-7.
Yeah, probably. It's probably ugly football, low key.
Remember, it's exactly what I said about Indiana, Ohio State. These games that are decided like in the trenches.
Yeah.
Like 13-10,
The only thing,
16-13.
Georgia's defense has been susceptible at times this year, but they've shored things up. Ohio State's been crucifying offenses all season. So,
Yeah.
I
Their
mean,
defense was not the problem against Indiana. That was just Mendoza in a flow state, making throw after throw in that game.
which is, but it wasn't throwing, like, there was no rhythm to the offense. He just like would make a big play, and you're just like,
dude, it was run up the middle for a yard on first down, incompletion on second down, and on 3rd and 9 with
third
the
and
defender in his lap, Mendoza just drops
makes
it in
it
the
safe.
bucket to Charlie Becker of all people. It's
Yo,
like, what the hell is
dude,
happening?
if I had a dollar every time Gus Johnson said Charlie B from Nashville, Tennessee, I was like, bro, all right. It was cool for like the first time you did it. The second time I was like, again. By the third time I was like, Gus, bro, we gotta come up with something else.
Hey, bro, I had to live through the Maserati Marv era. That was tough.
It was very
difficult.
similar to that.
That was every damn catch.
I feel
And
like
remember, Marv had like 10 catches a game in college, so that was a lot to deal with.
Gus has gotten like more over the top. He was not
He
like that.
has, because he's leaned into the shtick. Before it used to come naturally. Now it is kind of forced a little bit. But like
He's still
in the
Gus.
right moment, it works. Like Mendoza's game winner against Penn State.
That was, yes. Mendoza, that's the moment of the year in college football.
Probably
Keep their undefeated season alive. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the regular, if you don't count the championship games as regular season, but like the throw to Charlie Becker to ice the championship game was also pretty nasty.
It was pretty, yeah, that's true. That catch was just unreal though in the Penn State game. Well, we're both picking
toe tap.
Yeah, we're both picking Georgia, which feels right. I thought Georgia was probably going to win the national championship going into this entire bracket. Georgia, Indiana, for all the marbles. Who you got?
Yeah, I'll take Georgia. I hate to do it to Indiana,
Really?
but yeah,
Really?
I just like Georgia's like Indiana on steroids. You know what I'm saying? Like, and very, 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 very strangely enough, I think Georgia has the offensive juice that Ohio State doesn't, not for a lack of talent, but for play style. Because for all the talent Ohio State has offensively, they don't really flex their muscles like that. They're not dialing up crazy. I mean, they do dial up the deep shot to Jeremiah Smith, to Carnell Tate, whatever. But like, you would think a team with that offensive talent. Remember when they had CJ Stroud? He was throwing 6 touchdowns a game. It was going crazy. Like, Saban's not that type of guy. They're very dink and dunk, methodical, death by 1,000 paper cuts. We've seen Georgia put up 40 points against Tennessee and Ole Miss and all these other teams. Like, they can do that. So I think they're going to do that to Indiana. That puts them over the top because I don't know if Indiana is going to be able to punch back against Georgia's outstanding defense. I'm going to give you something. You might think it's crazy. It's not crazy, but like you might just be like, that's random. I think the MVP of the college football playoff will be Ellis Robinson. Like, I know they don't give an award for that, but the way that kid has played against, I mean, crazy offensive talent. You saw what he did against Alabama. I feel like every time I watch a Georgia game, he's picking somebody off.
Yeah.
He's making a key deflection, all these other things. If they're going to have to go play Ole Miss in their first game, who has a plethora of good wide receivers, then they go play Ohio State and he locks down Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate.
No. He's playing Mario Craver, Ashton Bethel Roman, and Casey Concepcion,
which would still be impressive. And then in the championship, again, if they play Oregon, if it's like DeCorian Moore, if they play Indiana, it's Surratt and Cooper and I guess Charlie Becker. Like, I'm telling you, Ellis Robinson, the 4th MVP of the CFP, as Georgia wins another national championship. What do you got?
That's all fun and games, but I'm taking Kirk. He's
valid.
He's literally like, daddy? Dude, he gives me like serial killer vibes.
He does.
He is so stoic, doesn't smile. He's spooky. I don't know what gets said in those locker rooms, but that team, don't get me wrong, you have to have the talent, but we don't talk about Indiana's players like we talk about other football players. We don't.
I guess, I mean, well, Mendoza just won the Heisman. So I guess,
but we didn't even talk about him in that. Like, we talked about him as a Heisman contender. We don't talk about him as like scary. Like, we're not talking about Surratt in the same breath as Jeremiah Smith or even Concepcion or Craver for that, or plug him into any different team. It's like,
Zachariah Branch, Decorian Moore.
It's it's spooky, and it just has such a destiny feel to it, and the bracket kind of sets up for them a little bit here, as it should. They earned the 1 seed. I'm taking Indiana. You said that you think Georgia, with their ability to win a shootout type game, it's going to be too much for Indiana's defense to handle. I would argue Georgia has not played a defense as good as Indiana's. It would be the same situation as if they played Ohio State's defense, but I don't have them playing Ohio State. You do have them playing Ohio State. I don't have them playing Ohio State. I think it's going to be a test they haven't seen. So I also think you got the Heisman winning quarterback on one side, and I almost just said
Stockton's pretty good.
I almost just said Stetson Bennett. Gunnar Stockton, he is really good. And he's had some moments of being a dog this year, but he wasn't in the Heisman conversation.
Mm-hmm. Can I give you one other reason why I think Georgia is just, and I've seen this so many times before.
Georgia should win. If these two teams played, Georgia should win.
I agree. And I know I mentioned Ellis Robinson, the way that defense is playing. In so many big games, Georgia's special teams make a play. They blocked a punt against Alabama.
They did it against Alabama in the title game, yeah.
You think back to when they played Ohio State a few years ago. It's not a play that happened. It's a play that didn't happen. They sniffed out a fake punt. Kirby called timeout, and then they were able to sniff it out. They got the ball back, and they wound up coming back to win that game. Like, they're so on top of everything.
No. He wasn't calling timeout. He was clapping. You didn't see it. He was clapping.
That's crazy, bro. I feel like, I mean, we haven't talked about the NFL in a minute, but there's a crazy 2-point conversion, obviously, last night in the Seattle game.
That was preposterous.
I have no idea what football referees are on these days, but like, Georgia is so buttoned up, and I know Indiana is too right now, but like, Indiana is the team of destiny that if you're projecting them. And I know that seems like they're not the 11 seed that goes to the Final Four. Okay. They're the freaking 1 seed that wins the whole damn thing. But again, to be the champs, you got to beat the champs. And beating Kirby in Georgia is like, if you're the Eagles in 2017 beating Tom Brady and the Patriots, or if you're the Patriots back in 99 beating Kurt Warner and the Rams. You know what I'm saying? If you're the Eagles with past year beating Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So we've seen it before, but like, the Rams were a heavy favorite against the Patriots, and the Patriots were favored against the Eagles, and the Chiefs were favored against the Eagles. Like, are you going to show me you can do it? The opportunity is yours. But until that, I'm just going to stick with all reliable. So that's where I stand.
I just there's an opportunity here for it to be the greatest story in the history of collegiate athletics. So I'm gonna ride the vibe. Like, we're not even talking. I don't know if it can be talked about enough, but it's like not even. It's being talked about, but like, I don't think people are fully wrapping their heads around the magnitude of what could happen here. Indiana is the number 1 team in the country.
Indiana.
They were 3-9 before Kurt Signetti got there, and hadn't. Their biggest claim to fame was when Lee Corso was the head coach, and they were beating Ohio State at halftime. Ohio State proceeded to win that game 45-10. Lee Corso had the media take photos of the scoreboard. He called the timeout so they could take photos of the scoreboard just before halftime to show that they were beating Ohio State at the break. Ohio State outscored them by 35 points in the second half.
I mean,
this is the program we're talking about. They're the number 1 team in the college football. But it's not like they hired Bill Belichick to be their head coach. Nope.
They hired the James Madison guy.
The guy who's been slept on for forever.
And now he's
he's
got a chance to be the biggest success story ever.
And he's earned it. They won
100%.
They won in Autzen. They went to Happy Valley and won, and I get it. Penn State was down this year. They won at Kinnick, and they beat Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. Completely earned.
100%.
The only team they didn't play was Michigan. You can't help with your schedule. But it's you went and won at Autzen, at Happy Valley, and at Kinnick, and then won the Big Ten title game against Ohio State. Holy smokes, they are the best team in the country.
Yeah, and they dropped 63 on Illinois, who's not a bad team either.
Illinois is a good football team. They're nuts.
If it comes down to Indiana, Georgia, I'm a big time Hoosier fan that day.
Oh,
Let me just say that.
everybody's a Hoosier fan this entire bracket, unless they're playing your team.
That's true.
Everybody.
Maybe it'll be Indiana, Texas A&M. It's entirely possible.
It's
Well, it's not
possible.
entirely possible, but
It
it's
would,
not
it would,
math. It's not impossible.
it would have been real nice if A&M got that 6 instead of Ole Miss. I'd rather play.
Which they should have, in my opinion.
I agree they should have. But it's how it works. I think that wraps it up, bro. So you're national champs, Georgia. Mine is Indiana. We have them playing each other in the national championship game, and we picked some different routes to get there. That's the fun of this.
Yeah, I don't think anybody thought when we started this that nobody would have picked Ohio State, but here we are. Because Ohio State is still the favorite to win the national championship, and like I said, I think we all know they're the best team, even though they lost to Indiana. Like, I think let me put it this way: if Ohio State gets the championship game, they're not losing.
Yeah, but the best team doesn't always. Yeah, I agree. The best team doesn't always win. I think it's also in the current landscape. It's going to show that it's so hard to repeat.
Yeah, I think in the 12-team field, the best team usually wins, though. Like that should be the case.
Like last year, though, they were like a 7 seed, right? 7 seed.
They were the 8 last year,
8,
but
okay.
they beat Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and Notre Dame.
How can we say they were the best team when they lost to Michigan and didn't win the Big Ten? Like,
because I think they wound up being the best team. It's not like 2023 when Georgia was clearly the best team, but they lost to Alabama in the championship game and went from 1 to 6, didn't even play for a national championship, and Michigan wound up winning it. If the championship game that year was Georgia and Michigan, Georgia would have toasted them. But instead, we had J.J. McCarthy win a national championship and did irreparable damage to the Minnesota Vikings as an organization.
Kalen DeBoer coached in that game.
That is true. That is very true.
Michael Penix Jr. played quarterback in that game.
God, I wish they won that game.
Rome Odunze.
Jalen McMillan, too. Jalen Pope. Crazy NFL talent.
That was a fun team. That
Washington
team. Dude, remember that Washington team like led the nation in scoring all year, and Oregon was like right there with them, and they played twice, and Dan Lanning just couldn't get it done.
That was pretty hot.
That was a year, bro. That was when Got It Covered made its debut on the big screen.
That is actually true,
bro.
Yeah,
that was a year.
That was fun times. Now Michael Penix is cooked on a stick. Romo Dunze is no place in Chicago. Jalen Polk has been cut from the Patriots, and Jalen McMillan is back, but had a bit of a neck problem earlier in the year. So we're rooting for our Washington guys. Don't worry.
Bo Nix might be the 1 seed in the AFC.
Didn't even mention that.
Perhaps. Where can they find us?
They can find us glued to the couch, cup of Joe in hand, cup of hot cocoa in hand, drinking out of the Grinch mug at Got It Covered FB on all social media platforms. This will be interesting. I'm very excited to recap whatever happens this week because I am expecting some nonsense to hit the fan. So at Got It Covered FB is where you find us. I'm at Russell Moroni on everything, and he's at Geo Heater or Giovanni Heater on everything. So go follow him and run up the impressions on his posts about Texas A&M so that we got to welcome him into the old Texags fan base, man.
I'll be a sad boy if A&M loses, which is funny because this is a new fandom for me, but I still feel attached. So
sometimes it builds the most character, and then by the time you get down there, you're like, all right, I'm used to whatever it is that we lose in all the big games or whatever.
I just fear that I'm gonna doom them because everything I touch turns to garbage.
That's true.
I was at Virginia Tech for the dog days, the worst 4-year stretch in the history of the program. Mm-hmm. Syracuse, 10 wins last year. As soon as I moved back home and start covering the team, they immediately go 3-9. The Salem Red Sox finished bottom of the league both years that I was the voice of that proud franchise. At
least women's basketball made a Final Four.
That's true. You got me there. And men's basketball won an ACC tournament.
That's true. True.
Baseball also won an ACC Coastal Division championship and went to a super regional. I went to the Texas A&M game against South Carolina, and at halftime, me and my dad looked at each other like, did we do this? Because they were undefeated and we're down
Down
by
27.
27 points at the break, and we were like, "Is this us, bro? Like, is this? Should we leave?" But they won. It's okay. They came back and won.
I'll be
Gig
rooting
'em.
for the Yags.
Gig 'em. Gig 'em. See you guys.